Hey, so we're all facing some pretty crazy times right now, and we're cooped up here at home. So we're in Pennsylvania, we're on a stay-at-home order, and any non-essential businesses, which ours falls under, are prohibited from currently doing any work until the end of this month, at least, which is April 30th. So I figured rather than just sitting around and not doing much, we try and make a few videos. My goal is going to be to make one per day on DIY projects that you can do yourself as a homeowner. So some of these things I'm not actually going to be doing because I don't need to be doing them at my own home, but hopefully the videos will still be very helpful for you. So today we're going to be going over painting. Future videos in the coming days, and who knows for how long, are going to be over other DIY homeowner type of things, from plumbing to electrical to carpentry and on and on. So there's a lot of responsibility when you're a homeowner, and knowing how to do this stuff as much as possible on your own is a really good idea. It's going to save you a lot of money. It's going to give you a feeling of accomplishment. And honestly, most things are a lot easier than you might think. If you don't already know how to do them, and you would typically call someone else out to do it, there's a lot that you can learn on your own, and I'm going to try and help you to figure some of that out. So today's episode is going to be on painting. By the way, I'm hoping that these videos are extremely helpful to people. So do me a favor and be sure to share this video with as many people as you can, like and so forth, but sharing especially, because we want to get the word out. We want to help people, and what better time to accomplish some long overdue DIY home tasks than right now when we're forced to stay at home. So I'm not going to actually be painting anything today because I don't have any need to paint. So it's going to be a painting video with no paint. Hopefully though, I can still get across the information I need to, and it'll be helpful for you. So few tips on painting. Number one, you want to start on any wall that you're repainting. Typically, you're going to have some artwork. Maybe you're moving it, maybe not. If you are and you have any dinged up areas, some small pinholes, you're going to want to fill those with spackling. So a lot of spacklings come pink. You've probably used them before, but they turn white as they dry, so it's a good indicator. After you've let the spackling dry for a while in a hole, you're going to lightly sand it down to make it flush with the surface. And a quick tip, you're going to take your brush, dip that in a little bit of paint, and you're just going to go over that hole and let that dry before you roll onto the wall. So that's going to do a really good job of concealing those spackled areas. If you've ever spackled before and you haven't taken that one little extra step of before you roll painting on with a brush, chances are you've seen those holes left over. So trust me, if you do this and you do it well, you're not going to notice it at all once it's done. Now, in terms of types of paint, we have flat, satin, eggshell, semi-gloss, gloss, and so on. So in general, the flatter the paint, the less glossy it is, the better job it does at concealing imperfections in the wall. So I actually prefer most of the time to use a flat or satin or an eggshell paint. I don't really like to go the glossy route. It just shows too much, and contemporary designs, a lot of times people really prefer more of a flat look. So you're going to go with latex paint. Now, in terms of brands, my personal favorite brand of paint is Benjamin Moore. I've found it to be, in my opinion, of the highest quality among the commonly available types of paint, and usually there's specialty stores that carry them. But in addition, there are other great brands. There's Sherwin-Williams, Behr, which is the Home Depot brand paint, has come a really long way, and they're at the top of a lot of rating charts now. So honestly, it doesn't really matter a whole lot what paint you get. If you're not dirtying your walls up like crazy, you're not really going to notice a huge difference, honestly. And paint colors can be matched at the paint center. So get a decent, brand of paint. Look at the specs, but I just wanted to make sure you're aware, the flatter the paint, the less glossy it is, the better job it does at hiding any imperfections in the wall. Okay, so we've got those basics out of the way. Next, the first thing you want to do when you tackle a new wall painting project is your edge work. So you're going to go around and you're going to cut in around your trim, your baseboard, and around where the wall meets the ceiling. Now, you've all seen they make these little rectangular shaped things with wheels to do edge work, and they work okay, but the wheels tend to get gunked up with a little bit of paint when you dip them. Honestly, I don't know of any professional painter who probably uses those. I don't use them. What most people do who are really good at painting, what I like to do is called cutting in with a brush. So you want to get a good angled brush like this. This brush probably runs about, I don't know, $15 to $20 or so, but it's going to last a really long time as long as it's well taken care of. So you want to make sure that when you're done with it, you thoroughly clean it and you let it hang dry. I just have a nail on my workbench. I hang this right on there. It air dries once it's done. I've used this brush a ton of times and it's still in great shape. So in order to do your cutting in, what you're going to do is you're going to dip your paint. Now I use this tool when I'm doing edge work. These little paint cups are really handy, and they come with plastic inserts that you can install in these that are disposable. You'll want to get those. They're really cheap, and that way you don't have to gunk up your paint cup with a bunch of paint that'll have to be cleaned out later. You can just throw out the disposable tray. But these actually come with a little magnet in them, at least mine does, and then the metal part of the brush will just clip right in there. So when you're busy working or if you need a free hand, you can just set it right in there. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to get a good amount of paint on your brush. When you come to the edge, you're going to lightly flick this off. And then when you come in here to the wall, what you're going to do is you're going to kind of choke up on the brush, and this takes a little bit of practice, but once you do it a few times, it's honestly a lot easier than you'd think. You're going to press in probably about a quarter inch or so away from where the wall meets the trim, and you're going to press in pretty firmly. Your bristles on the brush are going to fan out, and then you're just going to slide down along that edge. Now I don't know how well you can see here, but those bristles are perfectly going along that straight line. So once you do that for several inches or so, you're going to take your whole brush and you're going to brush up and down. You're going to reload, and the key here again is getting a good amount of paint on. The rule of thumb is you want to apply as thickly as you can, okay? So again, we will be going down. You're going to edge that, cut in, and then fan this out again. Now once you've got all of your edge work done, then you're going to start with your rolling. Now a quick other tip on the baseboard trim, the paint's obviously going to follow gravity and fall downward. So if you've applied it on really heavily and you haven't brushed that out well, you're going to get some drips. So you can tape off your trim, your baseboard. I typically don't because it's extra work and I'm good with cutting in. But when you're on your baseboard, you're going to want to do the same exact technique, but you're going to want to make sure to do it fairly quickly so that you don't have a lot of extra drips, okay? And you're going to want to keep an eye on that as you're going to make sure that there aren't any leftover areas that you may have missed that are still dripping down onto the top of the baseboard. Carry a damp rag around with you. That's a really helpful tip because I don't care how good of a painter you are, during the course of any paint job, there are going to be little flecks of paint that get onto things. There are going to be little drips. So carrying around a wet rag is a good way. As soon as you see something, just wipe that up really quickly and problem solved. Also along those lines, be sure to wear obviously old clothes that you don't really care about getting dirty. It's good to have some dedicated work clothes that you use, whether it's coveralls or just an old t-shirt that you don't really care much about anymore. So once you've done all your edge work, you're going to use your roller. So what I like to do for rolling is first of all, I get the thickest nap that I can. Well, I go on the thicker side because again, you want to overload that nap with a good bit of paint, and then you want to roll it on the wall in a nice even pattern, okay? And any of those imperfection areas we talked earlier about that you've spackled over, once those have dried with the paint you've brushed on them, that new layer of the roll that you put on is going to work really well to conceal all of that. Another tip when you're rolling, use an extension like this. So this particular one, there are different models, but this extends out and you screw your roller handle right onto here. And this allows you to have a lot more leverage going up and down the wall. So you can stand away and you can do a larger area more quickly than what you'd otherwise be able to do. It saves you a lot of work and a lot of bending up and down that you'd have to do if you were just holding a roller in your hand. So definitely get one of these extensions, connect your roller, and use that. So yeah, we've gone over how to cover up holes with spackling and what to do about those when you're done, types of paint, how to cut in around edge work, and how to roll on the paint. So hopefully that's a lot of good information. When people see me painting, they usually act amazed with the cutting in. I say, honestly, this is really pretty easy stuff that any professional painter would do, and you can do too. Trust me, you may think that you can't. Just make sure that you're careful, you're cleaning up everything well when you're done, and you'll have a good finished product with your next paint job. Hope that helps.